to another episode of the Discovery Hub podcast. I am here with my co-host, Anahit Cassels.
Hello.
So great to have everybody. And we have an incredible guest today, Donna Tetreault. I'm going to let you do your own introduction because you are so amazing. And we have such an incredible show today. And again, you asked an incredible question, which is, what is a Discovery Hub podcast?
Yeah, what is it?
What is it? I'm going to let you describe it because you did such a great job on what we're doing here.
So much of parenting, relationships, life is about discovering the next way to deal with something. It's experiences, it's situations, and every time it can be different. So we're discovering with different people we have on, with each other, what is the best way forward and how to navigate the next thing that comes.
Right. And
I love that.
Covering all types of topics. Donna, tell us about yourself and so our listeners get to know you.
Sure. I started out as an elementary school teacher and then found my way into TV reporting and have been reporting in Los Angeles for over 20 years. I was a general assignment reporter for a long time. But then when I had my two boys who are now 15 and 16 years old, I thought, oh my gosh, I need to learn how to be a better parent. I want to be the best version of a parent that I could be. Not a perfect parent, but the best version. And so I said, I'm going to use my skill set as a journalist and I'm going to interview experts. And I interviewed hundreds and hundreds. I learned so much. I was able to write a book called the C.A.S.T.L.E Method. It's evidence-based, based on all of my interviews. And then I've also written a couple children's books. And so I'm just on this journey of discovery.
Yes, there you go. There you go. And yes, and that's, I love that, Donna. And, you're such an inspiration because we were just talking about before we went on air is about being a parent expert. So as you know, I'm a clinical psychologist. Anahit is a school psychologist. And you are now the parent. You were saying, I don't like being called a parent expert. And I want to start with that because the first thing that came to my mind was people looking at us, right, as the experts, which, yes, we have the tips, we have the tools, we've learned about it. Just like you've done your research and your interviews, and you've learned so much. We lose ourselves, right, in the eyes of others as, well, I'm just a mom. I'm human, right? I don't know everything. So I would love for you to talk about that a little bit because that's important.
Yeah, I think it's really important to kind of feel the best as you can as a parent, but there's a lot of highs and lows. And again, I have two boys who are 15 and 16, but when I wrote my book, it was for foundational, like, how can we be compassionate, accepting based on all this evidence? And I think that at the end of the book, I said, because my boys at that time were just beginning middle school, and I said, now I'm on the journey toward this next, place in their lives, in our lives. And what I really wanted to do with the book was not tell parents how to parent, but I wanted to talk about the family system, the family dynamic, and how we as moms and our spouses are trying to put this family together for the first time. We've never done it before. Yeah. So we're all learning inside of this dynamic. And so it's not about, you've got to do this, kid, to, have the right behavior. It's about, how can I, as a parent, help you? How can I help myself have self-compassion as well in this process, knowing all the mistakes that we're making, but knowing that we're there to learn and grow. And yeah, but being, a quote unquote expert in parenting, it's not always easy because you're inside your own home and you know that mistakes are being made. Kids aren't perfect. Parents aren't perfect. Yeah. And so we're all just trying to kind of figure this out as a family.
And so the self-compassion piece, I want to touch on that for a minute. As experts, I guess, in our field, school psychologist, author, former teacher, clinical psychologist, we walk into our home and we shed that. That's gone. But the stigma is you should know how to do this for your own family. But I'm not a psychologist in my home. I'm a mother.
Yeah.
And so that judgment that, like my son's school, they call me and tell me, you need to come up with 3 strategies for self-regulation for your son because you're a psychologist. And I said, but he's my son. He's not my client. He's in your hands during the day. You do that when he's there. So that has been very difficult for me. Yes, I know how to do that for other kids. But you know what? With my own, I struggle. I do.
Right. And that's a good point, right? Because I think that's why surgeons don't operate on, right? Or, I mean, it's just, it comes back to that ethical piece because when we're involved in it, it's almost like if you went through something traumatic in your life and you want to call your best friend, like, you kind of step back and say, well, what would I tell my best friend? Or what would I say? And then you find the answer. But when it's attached to you, it's so hard to figure out what those answers are. And those are so normal.
So hard. And I think that's the piece. We can't take it personally when our kid goes "Rawr" on us or whatever, because they're going to. Yeah. We can't take it so personally. And I think that's where learning how to use what we know, the tools, and then really thinking about in this moment right now, how can I react as that expert in this.
Absolutely.
And trying to translate it. But sometimes when you take it personally and you've got, your kid on you, it's hard. And you think, I have all this knowledge and why is this not working?
And the most triggering is I hate you and you're the worst mom in the world.
For sure.
No matter what expert you are, those 2 statements just take you right down a path of self-destruction.
Right.
I'm telling you.
Right.
It's horrid.
Well, and then you don't feel
it is. It really is.
I love that. No, it's so funny. My son, my 16-year-old, the other day, he said to me, we were talking about something, and he said, Mom, why do you have to get to the root of everything?
I love that.
And I was like, oh my God, this is the person who's teaching me. They teach us.
They do.
And I said, I'm a reporter, kid. And he's like, you don't have to get to the root of everything. And you know what? That kind of gives me some space and like, okay, you can do it.
I love
figure
that.
it out.
You bring that up and it reminds me, my older one says, when we're talking and she goes, Mom, don't therapize me. And I'm not really therapizing, but it is what you just said. It's about building awareness. So the tools we have that we try to give to other parents and caregivers, whoever you are in the world, taking care of a child or teenager, or even as an adult child, it's awareness. So when I'm in my awareness, I can stop and think, right? And that's when change really happens, is when we can stop and think. And then we create change. Like,
absolutely.
Oh, I'm raising my voice, or I'm yelling, or I'm taking what he or she said personally, and I'm reacting, or I'm making that face. Oh, Mom, don't make that face. You're doing that face again.
Don't look at me that way. I didn't know I was looking at you anyway.
Right, exactly.
Should I close my eyes, or what do you want me to do right now?
Right.
So, I think it's a great segue. So, Donna, just from your experience, or even with your boys, or just based on what you see, what's up with the teenage hormones, right? I think we need to talk about this shift that happens between, I mean, we went through it too. We just probably don't remember really well. But what happens between that shift that I commonly see it between 12, like I think it hits right at 12 for boys and girls. What do you see, and what are some tips maybe that you can give us for our listeners?
Yeah, I think that that's that time where it's really helpful if you have some kind of idea about the development of that teenage brain.
Yeah.
Not as a neuroscientist, okay, but as a lay person who has an understanding of all that construction going on inside of the brain. And when you have kind of that baseline knowledge of it, it allows you to say, okay, that's why you're acting crazy. Got it. I'll just let that be. I'll let that be.
Yeah.
You're in your moment. That's okay. I'll let that be. I think that it's really hard when we don't have an idea about what's really developing and how they're changing and how they're growing and why their friends are so important at this time as well, and what that means. And when we were talking about how our kids kind of, they're not going to listen to us as the quote unquote experts, it's really important to have all these outside people mentors who could help our kids, be there for our kids. My, 2 kids have a golf coach and a baseball hitting coach. Those are people that can be in their lives to give them what they need, what that we can't give. Like they're going to listen to their swing coach and not me, right?
So true.
So it's things, finding those kinds of people around in their world and really just helping our kids feel like, I want you to have this relationship. It doesn't have to just be us. I want you to have all these people supporting you.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a great point. It kind of reminds me of also trying to keep them busy, but keeping them busy. Here's where I see a lot of things, like kids are involved in so many different activities and so much where they get so stressed. So then that bleeds into schoolwork, etc. But really helping them find and hone in on that one thing that they really love and just try to focus on that. To kind of guide them and keep them in that direction. Because I love the idea of that mentorship. But I think it's just so important to have that one person that you feel that your child can feel comfortable even sharing something. So that's important.
Yeah.
I also like to really tell parents that when you see your kid doing something good, to tell them.
Yes.
Just tell them.
Yes.
And shower them with what they're doing right. A lot of the times we're like, where's your homework? You're late. This, trying to keep them in a schedule and structured and of course leading them, but we've got to catch them when they're doing the right thing and really articulate it to them. And I could tell when I do it with my kids, there's that sense of pride, like, oh, yes.
And that's interesting. That goes into, we talk a lot about praising and over praising, and parents sometimes feel like, I think when we talk about as moms and just parents in general, we're so busy, right? During the day, like you woke up in the morning, you're going through you're making their lunch. You're probably in your PJs doing this, or you woke up at 5 a.m. to get ready so you can get them out the door. And all this stress, I think we can all relate. Like there's so much stress in the morning, and then you go to work, and then you have to pick them up, and then there's your second job, right? You come home, and then you have to take care of them as well. So what happens? It's all about the importance of, because you bring up, in order for a parent to stop and think in that moment and praise their child, whether it was taking the plate off the table, right? Or you made your bed this morning, or you took the trash out without me saying thank you, or you did the dishes, whatever it is, it's so true that it just enlightens them. They just want to do more because they want to please us. Yeah. So I don't know, who wants to speak about, like, just the first thing comes to my mind is negative behavior that kind of kicks in when we don't do that.
It's interesting. I'm listening to you guys talking and I'm thinking about a couple things, things I would tell parents at school, but then also reflecting in my life and in my upbringing. It reminds me, we weren't overpraised for anything. And it was, if it's an expectation, you don't need to get praised for it. You just have to do it. So in a way, I understand that, because if, the expectation is you're going to go to school and get good grades, I'm not going to give you money every time you get an A, or whatever it is. But there is an understanding of, and I want to segue after that into connectivity, because it's something you talk about a lot. And it was something interesting in my mind about that. But again, it's like you have to be so connected to your kid to know which of the things that they're doing requires that reinforcement, because not everything requires reinforcement. Not everything requires for you to say, wow, good job. But the thing that they're struggling with through growth, through this, I should be able to do this and I haven't done it yet. That's the one thing that I feel like if you can find those and remember that it takes the little steps to do the hard things, that I think is even more powerful to say, I know you've been struggling with this for so long, but look, you did that without me even saying to start. You did it without me asking you to start. Wow.
Right. And that's an important part of praise. But I want to talk about, Donna, your book.
Okay.
The C.A.S.T.L.E Method.
Okay.
Love it. If you haven't read it, it's on Amazon, right? Where can people find your book?
On Amazon. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Abrams as well.
And Abrams as well.
And I love the acronym. It makes me so happy.
Oh.
It's so like regal and encompassing, and it's everything all in one little place.
So tell us what's the acronym? What is the C.A.S.T.L.E Method? What do you want people to take away from it? What's the goal?
So when I was putting together all of this evidence and all of this information, I kept going back to these certain components. And so the C.A.S.T.L.E Method is an acronym used as a metaphor to build the castle or the family of your dreams. Not the perfect family, but the best version of your unique family. And the castle, it's compassion, acceptance, security, trust, love, expectations, good expectations, joyful expectations, plus education. And so it's just kind of a framework to think, I'm in this, mess or mix with my kid. Okay, I can go to compassion. What does that mean? So it's kind of just this way to kind of really think, okay, I have these tools. Oh, he needs trust here, or he needs, security here. And so using that as kind of just a baseline, to think about how you're regulating yourself as a parent. I mean, that was another part of this book was this emotional regulation. And the security piece is providing that emotional security, not necessarily the physical security. Of course, that comes with it, but that emotional security is key.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So much to say about that.
Oh my gosh. So my brain right now is just on fire with the word regulation. Okay. And I get this question a lot. I know you do too. I am sure you've seen it as well. The emotional dysregulation. Okay, let's just define what that means. I think parents can connect with that. And what is happening? Because I've been in practice about 15 years, and I've seen a huge, huge shift, actually a little decline in emotional regulation. And I have my own theories on that. And all that stuff. But what are you seeing with the emotional dysregulation?
What's interesting to me is I like to look at it from the parent perspective first, because if we're not regulated, they will not be regulated. And so in this journey of writing this book, it took, 8 to 10 years. I was learning how to become an emotionally regulated parent, spouse. Not perfect. My husband will tell you that. But the point is that it's once we have that knowledge and can model that regulation ourselves, not perfectly and not all the time, because we're human. Hello.
Yes.
We have feelings, but really being aware in that, and then them seeing and then using those words like, what's going on? What's happening with your emotions right now? Here's how I'm feeling. And really just, it's not like we talked about feelings when I was growing up. Nothing against my parents. It just wasn't part of kind of the family dynamic and what we were learning how to do. And so I think starting first with ourselves and becoming the best regulators of our own emotions will then bleed into that family system.
What's an example of, I can just imagine someone just kind of guessing, what is an example of an emotional dysregulated person? What does it look like?
Oh, well,
as a parent.
Yeah. For a parent. Yeah. Yelling.
Well, 0 to 100. 0 to 100.
Yeah. Like, you're not listening to me, or we need to get out of the house. And so what can you do? We need to get out of the house. Well, you're the parent. You're the leader of the family. So how can you build in extra time in the morning? If we want our kids to quote unquote behave a certain way, we have to set them up for success. Right. So we have to think those things through to help them with that success.
I love that. True. I love that. Are you late in the morning sometimes?
So my goal for the last 3 years, okay, this is good, guys. I'm being out there now. Here we go. 3 years, I've been trying to wake up 15 minutes earlier so I can meditate.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Have I done it? The alarm goes off and I can't get myself to do it. So in essence, by the time I'm getting out of bed, husband already is up, making coffee, and I'm rolling myself out, annoyed at everything because it's just too early. I'm not a morning person, and then I start, get your shoes, get this. Why isn't this done? Oh my God, here we go. I start dictating to everybody else because I feel out of control. I know it. I know it's
So
happening,
perfect.
Yeah.
but it's so early in the morning. I'm dysregulated and I can't control myself. So
Yeah. And what happens to the kids then? Because that's what
my
Donna was saying.
son
Yeah.
is kind of, he'll get dysregulated quickly. So he
Right.
starts screaming at me, I don't want to go to school. I told you I'm tired. I'm not going today. I'm not getting dressed. I don't want to wear those shoes. I hate what the breakfast is, all of it. So I realize he matches my emotion.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
he's behaviorally acting out what I'm emotionally feeling.
Yes.
So I watch him fall apart and I'm like, wow, this is me. Okay. I'll give you 5. So I have to reel this in somehow. So I say, okay, I'm going to give you an extra 5 minutes. I'll come back, lay down for 5 more minutes. I'll cover you with the blanket, hug you tight, let you go for 5 minutes. And then I'll come back and I'll let you do this again. In that process, I don't have lunch for myself because I didn't have time to make it, but that's my fault. I should have woken up that 15 minutes earlier.
Self-compassion, mama.
I know.
Self-compassion, mama.
But again, if it's that important to me and it's causing that much havoc in different people in the home, isn't it, I don't know, to my benefit to wake up 15 minutes earlier?
But you're getting into that also. Just that you're talking about this right now. Oh, this is going to be a therapy session right now. So,
I'm not going to let you therapize me, Dr. Regine, okay? No therapizing me.
and this is where we have to keep the balance, right? No, I'm just kidding. I feel that 'cause as you're talking, it's just the awareness again. It's just like what Donna was saying. You're in your awareness. That's the change right there. This is what we want people to do is to step back and say, maybe I should wake up 15 minutes earlier and maybe I should do this.
It's literally 15 minutes. I know.
But you may not, and that's okay too.
Because
right?
you may be dead tired, and that's where the self-compassion is. But I love the awareness.
Yeah.
It's the awareness. It's interesting because when we had the chaos when the boys were younger, they were literally fighting over socks. And it clicked in my brain. I said, if we're going to have that chaos, we're going to have to figure out a reset while we're in the car getting. So I came up with this idea, which it took us at the time where we were living 7 minutes to go down Van Alden. So it was our Van Alden prayer. So whatever chaos had ensued, I said, once you're in the car, we're doing our prayer.
Oh,
It's our way of meditating, praying,
that.
but it's also bringing in the gratitude where we're saying, I'm grateful for this. So it resets everybody and then gives them kind of that opportunity to reset. But it's finding these kinds of things, meditation, prayer, gratitude, even if it's like, just tell me one thing you're grateful for before you get out of the car. And that resets
I
the
love
brain.
that too much. I think I might have to steal that.
Steal it. It's
I
amazing.
like that. I like
Because
that.
this is my fear as a mom. What if something happens to all of us and we left the car angry? So we have to not be angry when we leave the car. We are going to say, I love you. And no matter how much you don't like me as a teenager, you're going to say, love you too.
Right.
Yes.
I'll see you soon. Be safe. So,
Yes. And sometimes I think like even if they're angry in the morning and they're frustrated and they're matching our emotions, it's all about, okay, how can we do better? How can we be better? And then, this segues into couples and relationships and friendships. And, there may be things about me that you don't like or that you don't agree with, but coming from a place of love and compassion and understanding, and even as couples and parents, we need to role model this to our children. And as you were talking, it just reminded me of that. It just came like a light bulb was, I don't really agree with that, but tell me how I can be better. I'm sorry that this happened, or I'm sorry that I reacted in that way. Tell me how mommy can be better, or or for dads, right? Tell dad how he can be better. And this, it takes a lot of effort to be able to say those things. And again, we go back, we're in our awareness. You may not succeed on day one, but the more we can remind ourselves to do that, you will see huge change in them, right?
and you're talking and I'm thinking about something, how, again, the light bulb,
Yeah.
the discovery,
Right there, light bulb.
Covering.
the recovery from these moments is very powerful. The way you recover with your kids gives them that security that no matter how ugly it gets, we're going to be okay. We still love each other and we're going to move into a better situation because we're learning to communicate and connect in this very vulnerable and ugly moment. It may be really ugly, but we're going to be okay afterwards and we still love each other.
Yeah.
I so love that. I think the repair is so important.
Yeah.
And what's so interesting is that it allows us to know that we're imperfect, we're going to make mistakes, but we can fix it and make it right in that moment. And then we can all grow from it. Because what if we couldn't repair? Then we would have all of these horrible feelings and inside. And so that's the thing, talking about our feelings, really apologizing as parents, not, being this, I'm the one who knows. And is it, it's really saying, I'm working on being the best parent I can be. I often tell my kids that. I'll say, I'm doing my best. I love you, but I'm doing my best.
Right.
And I feel like that, it gives them the feeling that, you care about me, you love me, you know that I'm doing my best and we're not all perfect. And I just feel like it just, gives everybody this opportunity to just grow into this family that we all want to create, this beautiful castle.
I love it. And, you were talking about the car ride. I get this question a lot too. So is it bad if, I'm a little concerned because every time I pick up my kid from school, they're just not talking and they go straight to their phone. Am I all that bad? Why aren't they talking to me, et cetera? So I get that question a lot as a parent. As a clinician and, from other people. And I say, no, it's not. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I think that that's their time to disconnect as well. I know
decompress from the pressures of having to perform all day long.
Well, they have to be on. And so they're on in school. And so what we have to remember is think about it. When we come home from work, do we want to be, interviewed and questioned about every single thing that went on?
Yeah.
No, we probably just want to kind of settle in, get into kind of lazy mode and just relax. And so I think that, and also when our kids, I've told my kids when one of them, would kind of snap back when I, would say, well, why don't you want to talk? And I said, can you just tell me gently? Can you just say, you know what? I just need some time. And so when he rephrases it like that, then I just know I need to give him the space and time.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just that communication, allowing them to tell us how they're feeling in that moment and then not taking it personally. They need that space.
But I love how you redirected
Yeah.
and you taught the lessons almost like you're teaching them how to treat you. And because we do have to teach people how to treat us, right? And that goes back to our self-confidence and creating boundaries. And the lesson there that they kind of get is, oh, this is how I should do it next time. So I can tell mom the same thing, right? So mom, I need you to say it in this way. Can you say it in that way? Because that's what works with my body chemistry. That's what works with my personality. I'm different than you. I am not like you. I see this in studying too, right? Where parents will say, sometimes, well, they have to study this way with the note cards, for example. And I say, well, no, everyone's mind is different, just like in a classroom. So really asking them those questions, such as, if they're having a tantrum, no matter what age it is, for the younger ones, like, they're having a tantrum. Well, I will come back. I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes and I will be back in 5 minutes and we will talk about this. No, don't come back. Well, I will come back. And that shows that you're present and there, right?
Yes.
It also, like a little example comes from like my own life a little bit. My son, every time he's angry, he lashes out. It doesn't matter. He could be angry about God knows what. It's my fault, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be redirected to future relationships. And I'm thinking, oh, your wife is going to be calling me one day. This is going to be great. What am I going to do then? So like, I better fix this now because it's going to be my fault. So here we go. So I'll tell him, I understand you're angry. So I'll say, why are you talking to me this way? What did I do to you? I'm just mad at the game. Okay, you're mad at the game, but why are you talking to me this way? I said, you can tell me, Mom, I can't talk right now. I'm very angry. And I will say, great. I don't want to talk to you when you're mad. I'll come back and we can talk about this later. But it's like like you said, redirecting kind of the anger to the right place. If you're mad at the game, be mad at the game.
Yeah.
Not at me.
And it's okay to be mad.
Be
Yeah.
mad.
Okay.
Just direct it
Yeah.
to
But
the
just-
place it deserves
Right.
to be, you know?
Yes, it's okay to be mad. It's okay to have emotions. It's okay to cry it out. I think this is where we see a lot of repression, right? So as parents telling our kids, we don't want them to be sad. We want to save them. We want to take care of them. But I think like a good tip, right? And this goes back to the whole concept of compassion and stepping back and really helping them regulate and feel. I think we're creating kids. I don't know if your take on this, but I think they're so stuck to, I mean, we are too as adults. I mean, we're all guilty of this with social media and Snap, and this is how they connect with their friends, that's their regulation right there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't really learn how to talk about emotions. So they see something, they internalize that emotion, they don't talk about it. So this is where I think parenting now is much harder because we grew up without our parents asking us that, for example, not to speak of all people. Unless you're raised by a therapist, I think it's a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
But that's
For
not
sure.
reality. But our kids now need this more and more. So really helping parents understand that, to ask those questions and to be okay to be rejected, right? What do you think, Donna?
We need to, you know what it is? I feel like we need to be able to sit in being uncomfortable. You know, I notice for myself that, you know, I can ruminate on the negativity and trying to fix a problem. And instead just saying, you know, this is what it is. It's okay to be uncomfortable in this, Donna, as mom, and it's okay for kid to be uncomfortable in this. Emotions fade. This is, you know, what we have to teach our kids too. We have to kind of really feel that too. We know that it's going to fade, but it's hard sometimes. It's your kid. You want your kid to be happy, but if they can't learn how to be uncomfortable in their emotions, you know, the relationships that they have later in life, it's going to be difficult. So sitting in that uncomfortable feeling, we kind of got to just do.
Yeah.
And staying connected, I think I want to talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
I feel like I see a lot of this in the schools. Parents are very hands off emotionally. They're disconnected from their kids. They'll over schedule them. They'll put them in 100 things because that makes them feel like their kid is being, you know, taken care of, or, you know, they have experiences, but that base level connectivity is lost when they ask me, why is it that she talks to you about this, but doesn't tell me? Because I let her be who she wants to be in that moment.
Yeah.
If she's going to be ugly and cry and fall apart, that's okay, but we fix it. That connectivity piece is lost. And it makes me really sad, actually.
You know, reminds me of just a quick going back to awareness. Yesterday, you know, I had a pretty busy day with clients, etc. And it was my last call, and I had to. It wasn't call, it was something else, and I had to cut it short because my son came in and he goes, "Mommy, can we?" And he rarely does this. Can we go for a walk? Let's go for a walk. And immediately it was like, again, that light bulb where you stop what you're doing, because that's the most important thing right now that needs to be taken care of. I mean, thank God I wasn't in session, but it was him disconnecting and saying, Mom, I need you, or I need to go for that walk. And whether it was 20 minutes, it was amazing. And we were cuddling and walking together, and, you know, and we didn't even have to talk. It was just, we're there, you're present. And that right there is that example of connectivity. It doesn't have to be something where you have to spend money or you need to do something. It's as simple as that. And when they ask for it, give it. You need to literally stop everything you're doing and look at them. Or Mom, I need to talk. You get off your phone, you're eyed face to face with them, and you're really listening to what they're saying, because that's all they really want. And I think that's where a lot of the when I say tantrums, like you're thinking behaviors tend to ignite, right? Or the negative behaviors. And if they're not getting any attention at all, what are they going to seek? Negative attention, right? So I think this is all good stuff.
So as we wrap up, Donna, I want you to leave us with some amazing nugget of truth that will help us discover ourselves as parents, moms, career women, just that one thing that kind of brings it full circle.
Yeah, I think based on how we spoke in the beginning about the fact that, as quote unquote experts and how tough we could be on ourselves, I think that parents, moms can be really tough on themselves. And I really, really like to talk about the fact that we really have to have our own self-compassion, because if we don't, our kids will not have this. And this is a gift to give to them.
Yes.
By showing them that we can love ourselves for exactly who we are, with acceptance and in all of our mistakes and chaos, but that we can have that repair. I just feel like we really got to give ourselves a break. We're doing the best. Parenting is completely different and it's evolving more. I mean, now we have AI and it's a completely, so the point is that we have to really understand that we are in a situation where this is evolving and growing, and we're evolving. We were a baby parent. We were a toddler parent. We're learning as we're going along. So just kind of giving ourselves that compassion, that self-compassion that no one else can give us but ourselves.
I love
and it's
that.
never too late to admit to anything, to apologize, to change things, to create. I get that question a lot. So, right, it's never too late.
No.
There's, even as adult children, right, we can still create change with our parents. We can still create connectivity. And that's the beauty of life, because it's so short. And, we're just here to do the best we can.
Yeah.
This was so beautiful, you guys.
I had so much fun. I could talk to you guys forever.
So fun.
I know. Thank you, Donna. So it was so great having you on.
It was so great to meet you. You're amazing.
Thank you for having me. I loved it. It was so much fun.
And that's a wrap for the Discovery Hub podcast. See you next week.